Hi, Sean. Nice to meet you.
You too. Hi.
Well, before talking about Anora, I like to know everyone says that you are the last true independent filmmaker. What do you think about this?
Um, well, I know other independent filmmakers, so I disagree. But I do know that there are that we are becoming more rare by the day, and I think that is a little concerning to me because we're losing some independent filmmakers to to series and to franchises, and I miss the features that they'll never make now. Um, you know, so and I think also independent cinema right now is the only way that you're going to get uh, you're going to see films like Anora, because Anora could never go through the corporate process. You think about it. My script would have ton of script notes from the studio. I would be told to change the ending. I mean, so I think the only way to make movies like this is the independent route. So I'm hoping that independent filmmakers will say, okay, if I want my voice heard, if I want a truly unique, untainted vision, I'm going to have to do it independently.
And how difficult it is for you to try to still make this kind of movies?
Well, to me, actually, to quite honestly, it's getting easier because of the success of some of my
Okay.
films. And the Palme d'Or has actually really helped me stay in my lane and not be seduced, so it's become easier for me. But I do know that it actually is quite, look, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky because I know a lot of independent filmmakers who have incredible sensibilities, and sometimes sensibilities that aren't very mainstream, and they are finding it very difficult to make what they want to make. They're being forced, first and foremost, the first thing they think about is who am I going to cast? And sometimes it's very hard for them to find A-list talent because that's the only way they'll get their films funded. It's quite a, it's difficult, it's difficult. But to answer your question, I'm in a good place, and thank God. Thank God. Yeah.
Had already portrayed the business of sex in Red Rocket, and now you in Anora change the point of view. How do you think we have evolved the of this of telling this kind of story? In the 19th we had Pretty Woman, and now we had Anora.
I think it's Pretty Woman was a big studio film directed by Gary Marshall, who was, and their intention was, you know, let's reach as many people as possible. Let's hit the mainstream. Let's make a blockbuster. That really wasn't my intention with this film. I think that it's been nice that with the universal love that has come to it, but I think it's just a different approach. It's a more realistic approach. I think that there were films over the course of, the history of cinema that have approached it in similar ways, more grounded, more realistic, more perhaps not as not as fantastical, because in many ways Pretty Woman is a fantasy that plays out from beginning to end as a fantasy. I have my first hour as a fantasy, and then I go into bring our audience into more of a grounded reality after that. So yeah, I think I think I do feel though that there is uh I think we're approaching our characters in a different way these days. At least for, there's a desire to be more fully fleshed out characters and three-dimensional, and I think that is, and it comes a lot from series, I have to tell you. I think it's audiences spending more time. If you spend 8 years with Tony Soprano, you know him. Okay, but I'm making feature films that have to essentially have my audience attached to these people, within the running length of a feature film. So it's about, like, spending as much time with that person as possible and really feeling that person is a real human. I think that that's the difference, quite honestly, between something like Anora and Pretty Woman.
The last I like to know is there's something about marginal characters that always appeals to you, and I like to know why.
I think that I'm looking back at my 8 films. 7 of my 8 films deal with that, and I think it's really just my desire to see, to learn more about, communities and subcultures that I don't feel are represented much in film and TV, or they're represented in a way that I think is a little disrespectful, more than a little disrespectful. So I think that's really my approach to it. I am attracted to people who have to hustle to get by, who don't have easy access to the American dream. So I think that that's something I like to watch and like something I like to explore.
Thank you.
I love your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. I know Mick
From
Garris
there.
directed number 2. You know Mick
Yes.
Garris? Yeah, yeah. He's a great guy.